What happens when a nation's pursuit of liberty spirals into a vortex of fear and bloodshed? Picture France, late 18th century, a country ripe for revolution. The monarchy's extravagant lifestyle, coupled with economic hardship, had pushed the people to their limit. They yearned for equality, fraternity, and liberty. And so, the French Revolution was born. The storming of Bastille marked the dawn of a new era, but little did they know, it would soon descend into a reign of terror. As the revolution gained momentum, so did the forces of fear and paranoia. This was the dawn of terror, a grim chapter in the narrative of the French Revolution. In the heart of this chilling period stood Maximilien Robespierre, a man of conviction, a man of the people, and yet a man who would become the architect of the Reign of Terror. Initially a proponent of the revolution's ideals, Robespierre's vision soon took a dark turn. His relentless pursuit of virtue and equality, paradoxically, led to a reign marked by suspicion and a thirst for blood. Robespierre and his allies in the Committee of Public Safety wielded their power with a heavy hand. They saw themselves as the guardians of the revolution, the defenders of the republic against its enemies. Yet in their zeal to protect the revolution, they ushered in a time of unprecedented fear. The Committee of Public Safety, ironically named, became the judge, jury, and executioner. The slightest suspicion of counter-revolutionary sentiment could lead to the guillotine. A whisper, a rumor, a misplaced word was enough to seal one's fate. The committee's authority was absolute, their rule unchallenged. They were the embodiment of the revolution's darker side, its brutal, unforgiving face. As the committee's influence grew, so did the reign of terror. The streets of Paris and beyond echoed with the cries of the condemned, the silence of the fearful, and the roars of the bloodthirsty crowd. The guillotine, initially a symbol of justice, became a grim reminder of the revolution's cruel twist. With each passing day, the blade of the guillotine fell with an eerie regularity. Each fall echoed the committee's message of fear. Each fall fueled the terror that gripped the nation. The guillotine became a symbol of terror, a chilling testament to the dark side of the quest for liberty. The dawn of terror was upon France. The ideals of the revolution were cast under a shadow, lost in the fear and paranoia that gripped the nation. A time of hope and promise had morphed into a time of fear and bloodshed. The guillotine became a symbol of terror, its blade falling with an eerie regularity. The guillotine, once seen as a beacon of equality, cast a shadow of terror across France. This contraption, named after Dr. Joseph Ignace Guillotin, was originally proposed as a more humane method of execution. However, during the Reign of Terror, it became an instrument of fear and oppression. The guillotine's blade fell indiscriminately, claiming the lives of the aristocracy and commoners alike. It became a symbol of the revolution's dark side, its chilling silhouette a constant reminder of the price of dissent. But what made the guillotine so terrifying was not its swift, brutal efficiency. It was the sheer number of executions. In just a year, from mid-1793 to mid-1794, an estimated 16,000 people were executed across France. In Paris alone, the figure was nearly 3,000. These executions were public spectacles, attended by crowds of onlookers. They were designed to send a clear message. The revolution would tolerate no opposition. Yet the guillotine was not just a tool of punishment, it was a tool of control. The fear it instilled helped the Committee of Public Safety maintain their grip on power. It was a stark reminder of the thin line between justice and tyranny. In the name of liberty, thousands lost their lives under the blade of the guillotine. Fear was the new ruler of France, and nobody was safe. The Reign of Terror had transformed the once hopeful nation into a landscape of dread and suspicion. The ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity that had ignited the French Revolution were now eclipsed by a cloud of paranoia and distrust. As the Committee of Public Safety tightened its grip on power, it fueled an atmosphere of pervasive fear. Citizens turned against one another, denouncing their neighbors, friends, and even family members as enemies of the revolution. The fear was so palpable, one could almost taste it in the air, thick and choking. This was a society under siege, not from external enemies, but from within. The committee's merciless pursuit of counter-revolutionaries expanded to include anyone who dared to voice dissent. The guillotine, once a symbol of justice, had become an instrument of terror, its blade falling with chilling regularity. The Reign of Terror was not just a physical assault, it was a psychological one. It was a time when trust was a luxury few could afford, and silence became the safest form of speech. The very fabric of society was unraveled, as social bonds were severed and communities torn apart. Amidst this climate of fear and suspicion, the committee continued its bloody campaign. But the wheel of fortune was about to turn. The very mechanisms that had facilitated the rise of the Reign of Terror would also precipitate its downfall. The architect of the Reign of Terror, Maximilien Robespierre, had become increasingly isolated in his dictatorial rule. His relentless drive for ideological purity and his refusal to tolerate any opposition had alienated many of his former allies. The once charismatic revolutionary leader was now seen as a tyrant, and the tide of public opinion began to turn against him. In the summer of 1794, Robespierre himself fell victim to the guillotine. His execution marked the end of the Reign of Terror, but the scars it left on the French society were deep and enduring. The Reign of Terror had taken a heavy toll. Over 16,000 people had been executed in the public squares, and many more had perished in prisons without trial. The fear and paranoia had left a lasting impact on the collective psyche of the nation, an impact that would reverberate through the years to come. The Reign of Terror ended with the fall of Robespierre, but its impact on society was far from over. The seeds of fear and mistrust sown during this period would continue to bear fruit in the years that followed, shaping the course of French history in ways that were both profound and tragic. The Reign of Terror left an indelible mark on the French Revolution and the world. The toll was heavy, the scars run deep, and the echoes of this dark period reverberate to this day. A nation, once united in its quest for liberty, found itself torn by suspicion, fear, and violence. The Reign of Terror, in its brutal attempt to preserve the revolution, ironically undermined the very ideals it sought to uphold. Equality, freedom, fraternity. These values were overshadowed by the guillotine's blade, the Committee of Public Safety's iron fist, and Robespierre's relentless purges. Yet, the Reign of Terror was not without its consequences. The blood-soaked soil of France did not suffer in silence. The revolutionaries, once hailed as heroes, were now seen as tyrants. The masses, once awed and fearful, grew disillusioned and defiant. The fall of Robespierre marked the end of an era, but it also signaled a shift in public sentiment. The people of France had tasted the bitter fruit of radicalism, and they found it wanting. The Reign of Terror also left an enduring legacy in the annals of history. It stands as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power, of the fine line between revolution and tyranny. It is a testament to the human capacity for cruelty, but also resilience. The French Revolution, for all its triumphs and tragedies, gave birth to a new political landscape, one where the people could challenge the status quo, where they could aspire to a better future. But the legacy of the Reign of Terror is not confined to the pages of history books or the lecture halls of universities. It lives on in the hearts and minds of those who value freedom, who understand the sacrifices made in its name, who recognize the perilous journey towards democracy. The Reign of Terror serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of radicalism and the loss of moral compass. It begs the question, what is the true cost of liberty?